Oh, howdy and hello everyone. I've just been browsing on my computer for the normal, non-confidential information. Please don't tell. Foamers versus railroaders. Didn't think we'd be at that point, but we're here now. He did what with a junction? Railfans, also known as train spotters, or that one guy who shows up next to the tracks with a tripod, are a set of some of the nation's best and brightest, all of whom go out next to the tracks to film whatever might come by. In the mid-20th century, railfans were given the term foamers by railroaders. Why? Why are janitors called janitors? It's 'cause they janet. This should be common sense. The term foamer was originally a derogatory term among railroaders. Being known as a foamer was not a good thing. I know, surprise surprise, being referred to as someone who turns into a rabies patient every time you see 3751 isn't exactly the most flattering thing to have on a Tinder profile. But over time, like a lot of things, the term foamer became just that, a term. Nowadays, it doesn't matter how chill or crazy you are. If you show up trackside and start filming the big metal thing, you are a foamer. Now, to the actual community? Given the choice between actually going in depth with all the different ways everyone sees this term and just casually glossing over it, I think I'll choose What's that? Watch hours. Okay, fine. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna need to really test your attention spans here. So, in terms of this dumpster fire, the term foamer is typically a derogatory term, but for some people, such as myself, that gets completely thrown out the window because given the choice between railfanners, railfans, and foamers, foamers is the easiest to say. So if I spot a railfan, I'll just casually think to myself, oh hey, another foamer. Now, foamer in a derogatory sense is someone who is insanely obsessed or is just annoying with railfanning. If you've ever heard of iPad kids, that is typically the poster boy of what being a foamer is. If you want to try and not be a foamer in everyone's eyes, then, what on earth are you doing here? Yeah, honestly, there is no good way to not be a foamer. If you railfan frequently, and especially if you get big in railfanning, guaranteed someone will in fact label you as a foamer. It is guaranteed with becoming a railfan. But if you absolutely must know, I have a wonderful video to show you on what not to do. Disgusting! I hate it!
I love you!
No!
Come back!
No! Stay gone! This just in, if you're not annoying, people will like you more. What next? You're gonna tell me actively trying to be stupid around railways is a bad idea? No! I thought this was common sense. Don't attempt to derail trains! In recent times, railfans have been caught doing all kinds of stupid stuff around railway property, endangering passengers, equipment, and crews. This can be things such as damaging property. Here in San Diego, someone stole the 4-car stop sign at Carlsbad Village. I don't know if it was a railfan or not, but one thing is for sure, half of the railfans that go here and sit on the foamer bench will at some point wobble the pole so greatly it smacks up against the roof of the foamer bench. This has led to the dent on the side of the roof. There's also the stupidly common occurrence of railfans stealing railway equipment, most commonly number boards and horns. This is a rather well-known activity in the railfan community, and it's nowhere near as frowned upon as it should be. Guys, you are literally stealing railroad property! I thought we knew not to do this! Your Honor, how could I have known that stealing something that very obviously isn't supposed to be moved was bad? I mean, like, this is blasphemy. It's gotten to the point where it's just a common thing for a railroad to have to replace a horn, and it doesn't matter how secure you think your locomotive is, if it has a horn, some foamer, somewhere, will find a way to steal it and bring it back to his collection. Number boards are even worse. Some railfans have collections of number boards they stole off locomotives, and it's just like, dude, you're literally just admitting to committing a crime. And the thing is, this is just something a bunch of people just wave off as a normal thing. Like, what about this is normal? This is something I'm sure we've all heard about by now, but the extreme level of foamer stupidity is derailing a train. This actually happened a year ago, but I and every other major rail fan has talked about it already, and there's no good point in going into it over again, so basically, just don't be stupid. Is it really that hard? Why yes, I know how to be a good rail fan. Actively try and piss off the people who work with trains. First off, yelling at the engineer for a horn show, while it won't necessarily get you in any form of trouble, is just annoying and almost always will not get you anything more than if you just kindly asked or just said nothing. Now, this isn't saying you can't talk to crews. If they aren't doing anything and obviously look like they're in the mood to talk to a rail fan, yeah, sure, you can have a conversation. But walking up to the cab window, jumping up and down like the girl from The Exorcist screaming at the engineer for a shave and a haircut is going to get you quite literally nothing. Me, being the introvert I am, barely interacts with crews anymore because, well, I just can't be bothered. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I haven't been that insane waving everywhere foamer that everyone has been at some point, but currently, it's at the point where I don't even wave that much. It's honestly kind of sad. When I see a train that usually has someone cool on it nowadays, I do the following. Stand idly, watching my camera to make sure the shot is good. 40% chance I actually wave. Usually I just awkwardly look at my camera, then to the cab, then to the train, and then I just look anywhere but the cab until the train passes. And if it's at a station, I'll record it pulling in, walk right past the cab, barely acknowledging the engineer's existence, and then I'll stand where I'm gonna film, and then enter the same awkward, I low-key want a horn show, but I'm too awkward to show that I want one. And let's be honest, we both know I'm here just to get footage of your train and then go home and guzzle iced tea like it's an addiction to feature late night on TLC stance. Now, my way of doing things is a bit extreme. You can still wave and stuff, just the only problem is when you're waving the entire time the train is moving, or if you're just running up to the cab and screaming at the engineer until he does something. Usually whenever you do something like that, it'll label you as one of those people in the eyes of many rail fans. And then there are the people who will purposely stand too close for a train that has an engineer they don't like. And remember, ladies and gents, these are the same people who whine and cry about certain crews not liking rail fans. Why do you think they don't? Next up. What the hell do you mean? It's rather common for rail fans to step onto and enter the cab of a locomotive. Look, Ma, I'm committing a felony. Yeah, this has always been really stupid. What do you do when you enter a locomotive? Just sit and think about how much of a rule-defying, angsty, cool guy you are, while hiding the fact that barely anyone thinks that, because as soon as you're caught, guess who's getting in all the trouble? Now, I could go in depth over every single variation of what could happen when a foamer breaks into a locomotive, or I can make a really cool flowchart. Okay, so, first up, foamer climbs onto the locomotive, walks into the cab. If the cab has a crew in it, then said foamer is immediately kicked out of the cab and will probably get railroad security called on them. If not, then they walk into the locomotive, look around at all the cool stuff inside the locomotive that they can be rest assured they will never get to see again if they get caught. Then they sit down in the engineer's seat, take a few photos that they will either keep to themselves because, you know, don't want to get caught, or they will share across social media like that won't backfire instantly. They will then either leave at that point, sit in the cab for longer, just enjoying the amount of rules they are breaking, or they will blow the horn? Bleach drinking challenge! Who could have predicted this? After doing this, they'll do some kind of weird activity or just leave the locomotive. At any point along their way, they can be caught by railroad security or the crew, which I don't even want to think about how awkward that'd be. After doing this, you will have gained yourself the experience that will probably have no meaning past, oh joy, I got to see the inside of a locomotive. Brother, if you want to see the inside of a locomotive, volunteer at a railway museum. Chances are, that'll be one of the first things you get to do. Or, even better, try to work for the railroad. Then you will quite literally be getting paid to be inside of locomotives. But then again, if you go into locomotives and are caught, you can basically throw that one out the window. Oh, God. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like we haven't all pushed the boundaries on what can be considered trespassing or not. What I'm talking about when I'm saying trespassing is when you're very blatantly standing on the tracks, or you're in an area that you very obviously shouldn't be in. You can easily search up this kind of stuff and you'll find hundreds of results. Yes, railroads can be kind of much when it comes to where you should and shouldn't go. The whole 25 feet away thing I've always thought was a bit much. Maybe 15, 7 at most. But any more than that, and it's just like, what's even the point anymore? If you really want to get a good shot of the train, here's my guide. And just an FYI, it doesn't involve getting anywhere close to where you shouldn't. This sounds kind of weird, but it's true. If you want to get a good shot, just go anywhere but a station. Most stations will have obstructions, people who, even though they can very much tell you're trying to film a shot, will still get in your way, and stations are the spot where you can be kicked out if a transit security person is feeling extra bitchy that day. If you really want to get a good shot, go to a crossing, or a mountain pass, or a wooded area, or maybe just some plains, or anywhere but Fullerton for the 90,000th time. You know what they say? Good air up high. Aerial shots are a shot that gives you a good and commonly unseen part of a train, and typically, you won't end up getting called in or hit by a train because of it. If you pair an aerial shot with, say, some mountains or some tall buildings, it'll really elevate the feel of your shot. I would normally just say urban areas, but there's some urban areas that do look good. Now, one type of urban that in my opinion looks awful all of the time is industrial areas. All they are is blank white buildings, basic gravel or dirt, and everything that doesn't look good at all. It's the reason why I usually stay away from this massive chunk of SoCal. It just doesn't look good at all. I know I said this as the main reason for this part, but if you're trespassing in a major way because, oh, the place I went only looks good if I trespass, then just go to a different spot, my god! Here's an example. This is Carlsbad Village and the area surrounding. It's very common to see people trespass onto this segment north of the station. There are so many other spots where you can go and not risk getting in trouble. And by the way, if you feel like you've ran out of spots at Carlsbad, you can go to other places around San Diego. You've got Tamarack Avenue and the Lagoon, Cannon Road, Leucadia, Cardiff, the Del Mar Bridge, the Bluffs, this absolutely beautiful shot just north of Sereno Valley, this beautiful shot out of a business park in Miramar, the entirety of Rose Canyon, Washington Street, and Middletown. So many other places. Basically, just find good shots that don't require you to go miles into an area you obviously shouldn't be in. Now, a tale as old as time has been spray paint on rail cars. It's to the point where it's just gonna happen, and it's not Railfans doing this most of the time either. Just graffiti artists, and it appears freight railroads, the ones who have it happen to them the most, don't really care about it anymore, as if they ever did. And passenger railroads never really have it happen to them anyways. But what I'm referring to is when a railfan vandalizes a locomotive to please their former tendencies. Like, dude, why? I get it. We all want heritage units, but that doesn't mean you should just go around repainting any locomotive you want into whatever scheme you want. That's a fun term I feel I haven't mentioned enough in this video. A lot of what I've been saying not to do in this video is illegal. It can very easily get you fines and in some cases even jail time. Now, I'm sure we don't want to do that now, do we? Then again, these are Railfans. Sometimes I think they just full-on want to get in trouble. Chances are, railroads will just repaint it in a few months, and if they don't, you know for a fact that thing is gonna get worn off or weathered real quick. All in all, just don't be stupid. Do I really have to spell it out for you? At the end of the day, this is a hobby. One not worth going to jail over. And one definitely not worth railroads straight up trying to shoo us away over. If you want to film trains, great, do it. If you want to drive a locomotive, great, work your way up to being able to do that one day. But trying to do things that are illegal or just morally or objectively wrong just isn't worth it. And it's anything but good that these kinds of things are just common practice here in the railfan community, and it's very obvious that the way railroaders and railroads see railfans now are extremely dampened because of what's happened. But anyway, if you don't mind me, I have some business I need to attend to.